Hey, I'm Elektron, and this is how to make a trap drop in Logic Pro X. My trap drop is only 4 bars long, but it sounds pretty cool. It sounds like this. First thing I did was I went into Ultrabeat and I went into the Boutique 909 kit, and I also laid down a ghost kick for the side chaining, and I took Alchemy and made a nice little 808. Next thing I did is I went and added a nice kick, so it sounded like this, or I just said kick, I meant a snare, and the snare was the Steely Beats kit. So if you go into Ultrabeat and you go up here, drum kit, and then Steely Beats, you'll get this awesome snare. It sounds like this. Well, I mean, I just said you'll get this. You won't just get the snare. You gotta like kind of layer it. So this was the first layer. It's on this key, and then the second layer is that is the coolest sound I ever heard. Literally, like it's stock too. It's a killer sound. Like you could use that for so much things, but I ended up just layering the snare with that like kind of sweepy sound, and it gave me this really bright sounding snare. It's not so much a trap snare, but it sounds really awesome, and I ended up just using it, throwing a compressor on it, low cut it like this, and it sounded really cool. So I kept that. Next thing I did is I went ahead and I added a mess of different hi-hats, all from the same kit, the Italo Disco kit, however you would say that. Italo, maybe? Looks like this. I have some variations in the velocity, definitely variations in which hi-hats I was using. As you can see, I kind of just used a bunch, and it made a nice little pattern that went so well with everything else. And then I was sitting on this. Next thing I had to do is I had to concentrate on the right and the left ear, and I didn't feel like going that crazy putting tones in the left and right ear. So what I did is I just threw some percussion in the left and right ear. I threw a single snare, kind of automating. So if we turn on the automation, it's automating in the right and then the left, the right and left. Sounds like this. Okay, so the next part is I had to figure out what kind of leads to throw in this thing. So what I did is I went into Alchemy and I just kind of shaped together some simple supersaws. I think Alchemy is the single best supersaw maker I've ever stumbled upon, and ended up making this layer first. Sounded like that. That layer's cool and all, it has a lot of power, but I needed to duplicate it and add some high end to that. And high end, what I mean is just high pitchedness to it, so I added this layer. Clearly added a little bit more reverb on that layer. Forgot about that. But this is cool and all, but there's no punch. There's no attack on those sounds. No matter how hard I crunched it with a compressor, I needed to add something that was going to give me a nice punch. So I added this. So let's turn all this stuff off here. Sounds like this. All I did is put that at the attack of the sound, and it gave me a nice attacky lead. Sounded like that. Cool? Cool. So then what I did is I was kind of in a dilemma because I liked those leads, but I had all this space in the middle of these leads. So you see all these notes are here and all these notes are here, but there's no notes here. So what I had to do is fill in that area there, and I had to fill in this area here. So what I did is I added another space designer in the audio effects, and then I had it on mute the whole time besides right here. So this line here is automating the output of the reverb, and I have the reverb on mute for this much, and then at this point I just kind of added it and made it come in hot here. So what this sounds like is this, and mind you, the only reason I use this reverb is to kind of fill in this gap here. And I think I'm pretty confusing right now, but I'll play it and let you hear it. And what that did is filled in those gaps so amazingly. So if I turn these off, we just have a boring space, big space in our mix. Sounds like this. Watch. I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to turn this on. You know, as simple as that, you can go ahead and take out all of the space in your mix and just add those little effects, and bang, you got some cool stuff going for you. So next thing I added was just a little bit of atmosphere. I added this thing. Kind of sounds like a mixture of white noise and like metal clanking together. Either way, I got it from the Ultrabeat. Not much to it, really. And then this one, I could argue that it works and it doesn't work, but I added a little weird sounding thing that sounded cool alone, but then I ended up layering it with these reverb things here. I don't know why my mouse keeps getting magnified like that. It looks kind of cool though. It's a weird sound that I found in Ultrabeat in this kit, and then I layered it right on top of the kicks like that. It definitely works. Sounds cool. Do I need it there? Probably not, but it definitely adds volume. So yeah, I don't know. Leave me a comment. Does that thing work? Does those little, it sounds like somebody's mouth. Did they work or not? Should I take them out? Who knows? Last thing I added was this thing. Actually, I don't think this was the last thing I added, but I'll explain it like it is the last thing I added, because all it really is a nice touch up on the atmosphere. Takes away from the emptiness of the mix. So let's play it. Let's compare it with it and without it. So this is with it. So this is without it. So it could work with or without, but I like the volume that it adds to it and the size of the mix that it kind of, brings to the table. And all these sounds that I have here all do jobs. They all do jobs. When you're mixing, try to have sounds that do jobs. You need each sound to do a specific job. And that's kind of what I did here. And if you do that, you can minimalize the amount of bullshit that you have in your drops that are just adding mud to it, and you can just create these cool things with minimal layers. So really focus on, just specific jobs for each element. You don't need a billion elements. You don't need 7 layers on a single lead sound just to make it sound louder. You can mix everything around that lead sound to make that lead sound louder. And that's what I did. That's what I did here. So yeah, I hope this helped. I want to give this away, so it will be on my website. What I have to do is I have to swap out all these Fab Filter compressors and put on Logic Pro X compressors. I'm going to throw this up on my website so you can have the template for free, because it's all Logic Pro X sounds. It's just I fucked up and I used the Fab Filter compressor, so yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm Alex from AlexFromSound.com. I hope you learned something.